Howdy YouTube, and welcome to another episode of the Gunman. So this video here is the fourth and final part on the restoration slash respray on this BA XR6 Ford Falcon Ute. So we're just continuing on from where we left off from in part 3, and yeah, we're basically just up to finishing off the flow coat. So for those of you who do not know what a flow coat is, it's very basic. I had a few questions in my last video and he said, wow, thanks for explaining it in such a clear and simple way. But let's just break it down in that clear and simple way. And all it is a flow coat is paint the car once, put your primers, your base coat, your clear coat down, let it dry. Ideally the longer the better, because then you're going to have less chance of shrink back and stuff like that. So, you know, let it go for even 2 weeks, 3-4 weeks if you've got the time. And then sand it back down with some 500, maybe hit it with some 800 if it's, say, a lighter color, but on a darker color like this, I just hit it with 500 orbital sander and then 800 on the edges just to remove any gloss so that you're going to get adhesion, and then you put a further 2 coats of clear coat down. A lot of the time on the flow coat you'll want to put an extra bit of thinners in the clear, or even heat that clear coat up depending on the clear that you're using, but I'm using the PPG LVC 131 clear coat for the flow coat stage. I did use a different clear for the original clear, and that was mainly because, well, we had it sitting around, and also it was a specific solvent based clear, so I was able to use it up, and it was totally compatible with the solvent based base coat, whereas the 131 clear coat is generally recommended for EnviroBase, which is a water-based clear. So look, I don't know how important that is. At the end of the day, clear is clear. You're going to generally get adhesion, but they probably won't warrant it. That's probably the only real thing. And PPG is relatively well known for having some delamination on their clear, and that is even with the clear coats that are warranted. So yeah, what causes that? I don't know. If anyone knows any ways to sort of minimize the risk of delamination. I'm also wondering if me using that one visit will sort of help, but I've even had it on, well, relatively in the last 2 years, we've had one car come back. It was like a black bonnet that I painted, and I know that I follow the procedure correctly. I know that I let the base coat dry properly, but I do know that that was one visit, so I'm not sure. I'm just sort of guessing, and fingers crossed really as much as anything that now the one visit is out, it potentially may get some better adhesion. But yeah, this shop here, we do follow all of the correct procedures, especially on you know, customers' cars. We don't sort of use cheaper clears unless it's, say, on our car or on like a cheaper insurance job. Yeah, sometimes if it's our car, we've recently actually just got the Autothane clear coat in, which I don't mind. I think it's actually quite good for a cheap clear. But anything that we need warranty on, yes, we will use sort of the top of the line products. They're quite expensive products, so like I say, if anyone knows any ways to sort of help minimize any delamination on, yeah, the water-based PPG and EnviroBase, yes, be sure to let us know in the comments. But that is a very long-winded way of saying I'm using the 131 clear coat and it doesn't take thinners. So I was mentioning before, and I get these comments all the time, oh, I'm using this so-and-so clear, which I've never heard of. How much thinners do I put in? I'm like, I have no idea. I've never used that clear, never even heard of that clear. And this is a great example here, is that this clear coat here, the 131 clear, it doesn't even take thinners. Like, there's not even, well, there is one option for it. I've never even used it. It's for like super high temperature. So with this clear, you've got a medium hardener, a slow hardener, and then you have a retardant, which is an added thinner. I do have it because when a new product comes out, I do like to get like all of the options just in case you need it. So I got that retardant, and I've just never felt like I needed it. The way I said, if it's like ever above, say, 35 degrees, I'll just put the job off until the morning. So yeah, and if slow hardener is not slow enough, well, then it's probably too hot, you know. And if it's a small job, sure, you'll just do, like, you know, maybe even paint the side. But if you're doing a full respray, I'm not going to be painting a full respray on a stinking hot afternoon. I'll just, like I say, I'll just go out into the shop, do something else, and start on the next job. But like I say, every clear coat is going to be slightly different. And if you went and put 20% thinners in this clear, you would make an absolute mess of it. There'd be no body left to it, you'd have no fill, you'd have no build. It just would not go on well. But on the other hand, when I did my Tirana, I used the quartz liquid glass and I put 20% thinners in that just to make it flow out just a little bit more. I got the temperature up a little bit too, and that went on perfectly fine. I was really happy with the finish that I got out of that. So again, every clear coat is going to have its own properties, and look, I don't just stumble on these settings by mistake. It's trial and error. As I mentioned in some other videos, I like to follow the scientific method. Try this, see what works, and yeah, there can be lots of different variables when it does come to spray painting. But that's where I like to have a spray gun that you know exactly what you're going to get out of it, so you can sort of eliminate that from the variables, if that makes sense. So that's where the DV1 these days, or even the Pro Light in previous days, I know exactly what I'm going to get out of that. So when I'm sort of getting accustomed to a clear, I'll use that gun, say the DV1, so I can just eliminate that as a potential variable, right? So you'll know exactly the settings that you're going in there with, the pressure settings, the fluid settings. So if there is any change in the finish, you know that that's not the variable. You can say, okay, well, we need to warm the clear up, we need to put a little bit more thinners in it, and you can sort of, like I say, a bit of a process of elimination. But as you can see here, I decided something a little bit different. This is the ANI Tronic, and I was just interested to see if I could get that same like nice tight flowing finish on these quarter panels as what I did on the rest of the car. And yeah, those with a keen eye or memory will remember that I painted the rest of the car with the Iwata Supernova, which is a Lotus edition, so that's a 1.3 HD with the WS air cap on it. But this one here is the ANI Tronic with the, I think it was clear or base. I actually found that the clear and base air caps both work quite good for clear coat. So if you did want a bit of an all-rounder, the ANI Tronic, even base coat or clear coat, work fine for both materials, and even wet on wet. But it does sort of seem to have quite a big cloud in this video here, but that's because I did have that pressure cranked up and I was looking for that flat finish. But as you can also see, it's got a very nice large fan, nice even fan on it too. It's a very fun spray gun to paint with. I still remember doing this patrol respray and just being very present while I was painting and just really enjoying that moment. Being in that sort of safe space, having your Gunman Edition spray suit, mind you, having your air-fed respirator on your gloves, so you're not being exposed to these harmful chemicals. You're in that, like I say, you know, a physically safe space, but really enjoying the moment. It sounds sort of strange. I've never actually verbalized this, but sometimes when I'm laying some clear coat down with, and I still remember it was this Tronic, it was really, really enjoyable. It was a really fun experience. I nearly should edit that out because it sounds strange to actually say, but it can be a really fun thing to do when you've got such a gun that absolutely pumps the clear coat on and everything's just humming. All those sort of trial and error, the clear coat's thinned down correctly, it's nice and warm, it's flowing out the gun, it's going on nice, and you're just looking at that beautiful size spray fan and it's just perfect. Like, you don't have any dead zones in it, you haven't got any sort of top or bottom heavy, you've got the digital gauge on the back, and the gun looks nice as well. So all these things go into it to just really being very present and enjoying the moment. But yeah, last week I actually spent the week at a different shop, one of the shops that I used to work in. They needed me to come in and help, right? And they didn't have the 131 clear coat. They had some 136 and he just wanted me to use it up. And I'm like, oh man, that is like, I think it's actually one of the worst clears, and I'm talking ever used. I would say Duke Zone is better. I would say Challenger is better than the 136 because it actually dries. That 136, it never dries, and I'm talking a year down the track, you'll get your fingernail into it and it just never dries. It is a horrendous clear. I can't believe like that they even still have that stuff on the market. But then coming back to even just watching this footage here of this 131 clear coat, it is incredible. Like, it's up there with some of those Standox clears. It's a really good clear coat. It has a great through cure. So like if you give it, say, a 20-minute bake, you'll be able to come in the next day, hit it with a tungsten, hit it with a razor blade. It'll be the same as, well, it'll be further cured overnight than the 136 will be over an entire year. So Absolutely love the 131 clear coat, and PPG have definitely turned somewhat of a new corner with some of these relatively new products. They've been out for a little while now, but yeah, the One Visit and the new clear coats that they've got, even to a lesser extent some of the air dry products they've got, like the 177 air dry clear and the 565 air dry primer. I find it lacks a little bit of body, but yeah, so often if I'm doing like a big filler repair, I'll still go for the 219 primer, which seems to have a little bit more body and feel to it. So if you want to block into it, say some 180 grit and have a bit more build, I'll still go for the 219, or sometimes even just a shaded primer. But that's about it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed watching this video. If you really want to support the show and get yourself a Gunman Edition DV1, be sure to go and check out the link in the description. And to my Aussie viewers, you'll also be getting a Gunman spray suit and a cleaning kit, just to sweeten up the deal, because prices, I have noticed, are a little bit higher. Yes, look, I would have absolutely loved to have the price of this DV1 a little bit more affordable, but I don't dictate the prices, so that's all we can do to sweeten up the deal for the Aussie viewers, because for whatever reason, the DV1s get into Australia a lot cheaper than even Spray Guns Direct from the UK can sell them. So look, it is what it is, but hopefully you can still, you know, see enough value and grab yourself a Gunman DV1. They're a wicked looking spray gun, and of course, performance is second to none. Until next time, get out there and paint some shit. Gunman out.